Have you ever wondered why it is so difficult to leave a trauma bond relationship? Well, the truth is, it might not be your fault. There's some interesting chemicals at play. And today we are going to look at what happens physically in your brain and in your body that keeps you stuck in a trauma bond. So Quentin, how does this work?
One of the most painful beliefs people have when they are stuck in a trauma bond is that something is wrong with me. Therefore, they tend to have thoughts of, I'm stuck. I'm addicted to the wrong person. There's something wrong with me.
I'm weak.
I'm weak.
I'm needy.
I'm needy. That's typical thought patterns we see of people who get stuck in a trauma bond relationship. What's important to know that it's not a character flaw. It is biology. It's your nervous system. A trauma bond gets stuck actually in your nervous system. Your nervous system is doing exactly what it is designed to do. And that is what this discussion is all about. Understanding your nervous system. Because once you understand that, you can understand how the trauma bond links into the nervous system itself.
Yes, and that's such an important reframe. To realize that it sits in your body. It doesn't sit in your mind. Because if you think about it, if you have ever heard yourself say, I know this relationship is so unhealthy. It's a toxic relationship. It's a trauma bond relationship. I know this is not good for me, but you can still not leave. That shows you that it's not a problem with the mind. Your logic isn't flawed. But the catch is, trauma bonds don't sit in logic. They live in the body. It is your body that is bonded, and it's the body that cannot leave. It's physically sitting in your cells.
If you look at the function of your nervous system's function is survival. Therefore, continuously your nervous system on a subconscious level will check in. Are you okay? Are you safe? Are you connected? So due to the inconsistency of a trauma bond, your nervous system is dysregulated. Therefore, it starts to confuse danger with connection. And it starts to confuse relief with love.
So, but it's not real.
It's not real. And that is when it actually have a direct impact in the brain. That's when we need to go upstairs and have a look at what is the role it plays inside the mind. And that is where dopamine comes at play.
So dopamine, if we think about it, dopamine is the reward and motivation chemical in the brain. So if you think about it, if somebody suddenly gives you a lot of attention and a lot of affection, and they praise you and they validate you and they make you feel so special, what happens in the mind is dopamine is being released and you feel desired, you feel chosen, you feel seen, you feel validated, you feel very special, and that makes you feel good. So all the chemicals in your brain is saying, pay attention, this is important. So what you are doing is you are actually elevating the status of this new relationship much more than what it really deserves. It hasn't proven itself to you yet, but the mind is telling you, because you feel so good, this matters, so pay attention. And now you make it more important than what it is. But then there's a shift, right?
There's usually quite a definite shift in a trauma bond relationship. And in that shift is where cortisol comes at play. There's a shift more in a negative direction in the decline of the relationship itself.
But how does the shift come?
The shift comes, usually there's a withdrawal from the other partner. And automatically that is when cortisol starts to kick in. And when cortisol kicks in, your thought starts to race. You're much more in your head than in your own body.
Absolutely. And that creates stress, your heart racing, anxiety.
Feel anxious.
All those type of things. But then the next shift comes. Maybe you had a fight, maybe they withdraw, and when they come back, what happens is oxytocin is released in your mind. So now that is the bonding hormone. It's the same hormone that is released with intimacy, with sex, with childbirth, with a really deep emotional connection. So it really feels good. It feels like you're bonding again, because they often do come back with huge apologies, big promises about how things are going to be good again or better. Maybe you even get flowers and chocolates and you feel very special. But the problem is that oxytocin doesn't distinguish between healthy bonding and unhealthy bonding. So in that moment, you are bonding to the relief from the distress, not necessarily even with your partner.
And oxytocin, the moment oxytocin kicks in, it's really a good feeling. So your body registers, wow, I feel good. And oxytocin automatically relaxes the muscles and the stress relaxes and you feel more present inside your body and inside your own space. But in a trauma bond relationship, it's only for a moment. Good moments is very little and it's much less than the bad moments. And that is what the mind then gets attached to. Gets attached to that little moment of relief. Because in that moment, I feel free. I can let go.
And then you hold on to that and you hope more for that. And that's another thing to take note of. In a trauma bond, hope is not your friend, because you are hoping for that next relief and you're hoping that things will get better and you're hoping that they will come back. And in a way, the hope keeps you in that loop of panic and stress relief that plays out.
So what happens, your body actually gets addicted to that moment of relief.
So your body then experiences peace without pain as boring. And it sees the relief after the pain as euphoric. And that actually creates a very vicious cycle. And we call it the trauma bond cycle. So for those of you who might be in a trauma bond or have seen it before or experienced it before, this would sound very familiar. You are in a relationship with this person and then you have a fight. There's some form of conflict and you tense up. It's not comfortable. It's panicky. It can get quite aggressive, can get very abusive sometimes. And you are very anxious and the person might completely withdraw. They might leave. They might storm out the house. They might go quiet for days on end and there's distance. Now that distance creates a craving for them. You wanted to go back to the good old days and you crave that they come back. Even if your mind says that it's not good for you, you still crave what you think is the person. But what your mind has already learned to crave is the relief that you're going to feel when they come back with the love declaration, when they come back to assure you that they are going to change, that they're going to be here. Your body is craving that relief. And then they do come back. And they do come back with the apologies and they do come back with the promises. So your whole system goes, oh, see, they do love me. See, they do want to be here. See, everything is going to be okay. This is now okay. And you crave and you love and you receive that oxytocin feel good for that moment. And then you're in that loop. And now the next round of fight and anxiety could be around the corner, but you're stuck.
So what it basically creates, it creates a concoction inside your mind. Concoction of dopamine, of cortisol, and of oxytocin. And that's quite a powerful concoction. That concoction is linked to addiction. So it's the same chemical concoction that gets released than someone who's actually addicted to gambling. So we can actually also say, it's like the slot machine effect.
Yes.
When someone is sitting in front of a slot machine, there's no guarantees. There's lots of unpredictability. They don't know when they're going to have a win. And the wins is unpredictable.
Yes.
And it's usually much less than the lose. And that's exactly the same principle that is happening inside a trauma bond relationship. The wins is less, and the wins is also seen now not as physically money. It is seen as a moment of connection, a moment of I feel appreciated. I feel seen, a moment of acknowledgement.
Yes.
So now you're chasing those little moments, those little wins. And therefore, just like people stay stuck in front of the slot machine, you stay stuck inside this relationship itself.
Hoping for that jackpot to come.
Hoping for the jackpot to come.
And it's just that little bit of relief. It's a brilliant analogy because I can imagine with the slot machine comes all that excitement. So for people stuck in a trauma bond, healthy feels boring. Predictability is dull. So their body is so trained to that unpredictability and instability. And often people call that excitement and they call it passion. But in a way, you actually addicted to that chemical concoction. You're stuck in that loop. So your body is spiking with those hormones all the time, and calm and steadiness feels unfamiliar. So safety actually in a relationship is unfamiliar to that person. So if you find yourself in such a situation, it's a good idea to actually treat yourself like putting yourself in trauma bond rehab. It is a rehabilitation that needs to take place because your body and your nervous system have learned to survive and they need to unlearn. They need to learn to regulate themselves without this panic and anxiety constantly running. I mean, that's not a way to live. If you think about it, if you're constantly scanning whether you are safe and your nervous system is constantly spiked and on high alert, your body is flooded with cortisol all the time. That's a very unhealthy and uncomfortable way of living.
Most definitely. And it's like any addiction. Many people think you only get withdrawal symptoms from drugs or alcohol, but you get withdrawal symptoms from any addiction.
Yes.
And the same in a trauma bond relationship. There's very clear withdrawal symptoms. And many of some of the withdrawal symptoms people experience is panic. They're going to panic. Who am I going to be? Who am I without this? They're going to grief. There's a deep, deep sense of grief. And losing this person, losing this feeling inside and losing this connection with this person.
So it's easy that they might think that they're making a mistake and doubt themselves because it's going through that withdrawal. And if you think about an addict in a rehab that goes through withdrawal, it's uncomfortable. It's definitely not a comfortable place to be. And you can imagine that they also feel like sometimes it's just easier to go back. To just go back to what I know, to go back to the drugs, to go back to the alcohol or whatever. So you would also feel like it's just easier to go back to the person than really go through this pain and this uncomfortability. But know that it's a withdrawal. It's a physical symptom in your body.
If you're currently experiencing withdrawal symptoms going through a trauma bond relationship, just know that it's your nervous system that's busy detoxing. And if you can give your nervous system enough space and learn to regulate your nervous system, then you will be able to get out of this trauma bond relationship. And when you look back, you're going to see a different picture and you're going to feel quite a relief. And you're going to know that this was the right choice I've made in order to leave this relationship instead of staying.
Exactly. So you have to be compassionate with yourself. First thing is you need to let go of the shame. For all these years, your nervous system kept you safe. It was your survival mechanism. Because the reality is that you probably, if you think back about it, in your childhood, maybe were in a household where it was around an emotionally volatile person. It could have been a parent, it could have been a sibling, but that person in the house where everything revolved around them and keeping the calm and keeping the peace. And that's what your nervous system learned to do. Or maybe it is in a previous relationship where you learned it. But somewhere along the line, your nervous system equated survival with this anxiety and emotional irregularity. So you need to be patient with yourself. It's a process. Your whole nervous system has to relearn how to survive and what is safety.
So what I want you to remember is that you don't break a trauma bond through willpower. You break it through understanding, compassion, self-regulation, and you need to be kind with yourself. And it's difficult to break it on your own. There's amazing people who have amazing knowledge and expertise who understands how this works and really can help you working through trauma and working through a trauma bond.
And you need to consistently experience safety to relearn what safety actually is.
Yes, consistency is one of the great tools that helps you to move out of a trauma bond, because it teaches your nervous system a different reality.
Yes, exactly. So if you want to learn more and maybe find your first steps out of a trauma bond, look out for our video on how to break out of a trauma bond. But if you are still experiencing and deeply entangled in such a relationship, we would highly recommend that you seek professional help and maybe see a counselor or a therapist to help you recalibrate your nervous system and find your way to freedom and to yourself again. And if any of these concepts resonated with you, let us know in the comment section below. See you in the next video.
So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and see you soon.